Hello and welcome to War or Nothing, the #1 podcast for amateur and professional boxing across the UK and beyond. In this episode, I sit down with Cameron Lewis, an incredibly talented amateur boxer who boxes for the RAF on behalf of the UK Armed Forces. We cover everything from competing in the NACs to sparring with professionals like Darren Till. Cam Lewis, thanks so much for joining me today. A great pleasure. Obviously, we've talked a bit off camera there. We first met at the NACs, which had just gone, the senior NACs. Hell of a competition. Was really exciting to watch you box. But for those that don't know who you are, first and foremost, they should. But let's start where it all began for you with boxing. Do you remember the first time that you walked into a boxing gym?
Yeah, I do actually. Probably must have been, 13, 14, 15. Just experimenting through secondary school. So I did actually go to the gym once or twice. It was in a police station in Widnes, Kingsway. Went once or twice, but at the time I weren't very fit, so I didn't really like it. I was just like, oh, it's all right. And then what it was, I got into my footy and that, so it was naturally quite fit. So then I gave it another shot when I was sort of a little bit older, about 15, and I loved it. Couldn't get me out of there. That resulted in, stopping the footy and putting focus on the boxing, and where I had my first sort of contest when I was 16.
What was that decision like then? Was it a hard one to leave football, do you think, or was it kind of simple?
Yeah, I think at that age you're full of emotions anyway, aren't you? At the time of your life, so yeah, it was an hard decision, but at that age you can't really be told, can you? You're sort of headstrong teenager, so yeah, it was for the best of it. I enjoyed boxing a bit more of an individual sport.
So as you got into boxing and you like you said, you got more fit with the football and you started going to the boxing gym more, was it always on your mind from the start that you wanted to compete and you wanted to push it that way?
No, to be honest, no. It was just pretty much fitness, and then once you have your first spar and you're like, oh, I don't mind this, and you sort of like get that bug and you want to go back and do more, and then all of a sudden you're doing extra sessions on, as well as your 3 times a week in your amateur clubs. And then it went from there really. So no, I didn't always want to compete, but I think with sparring and then, a good coach might inspire you really.
I spoke with a couple of the lads actually at the NACs about the first time that they ever sparred, and I got some funny responses. Some of them were saying, it was absolute chaos. They didn't know, there's windmilling and throwing hands all over the place. Do you remember that first spar for yourself?
I wouldn't necessarily say my first spar, but I think if I remember right, it was more so learning that you can't just be aggressive throwing haymakers, like, because you start that way and then you quickly humbled, and then you've got to learn how to box. Luckily, we had a decent coach at the time. He was like an England boxing ref, so he'd set the spars up like about, we'd be in the ring, he'd be telling us to touch gloves and everything. So he sort of got a grip on us quite quickly, as Bill Toppin from the Merseyside Cheshire region. Yeah.
So you were already building those competition sort of habits, from the off. It sounds like that's quite interesting. That is, yeah. So yeah, just moving on from there. Then obviously you've worked your way. You've had a few amateur bouts now. Let's move on to the NACs. Obviously that's quite the jump there. But talk to me about the journey to the NACs, because obviously that was the first time that I'd seen you box in person. But of course I'd followed you online before. What was that journey like getting to those NACs?
Yeah, I'll quickly skimp over. Obviously, I stopped boxing after being a kid, and I got back into it through the RAF. And then, so when you mentioned the NACs, that was sort of like my second in the elite NACs. So the journey would have just been having a lot more contests through the RAF system, because they get you off work in boxing and stuff. So yeah, I sort of through my experience the past 3 years, back-to-back seasons with the RAF, and then yeah, obviously that just just the contest really. Like last year, I was 75 kilos in the NACs. That was my first one. I got to the three quarters. Um, so yeah, I think I've got the taste for it there, and then wanted to do better this year. Um, and I had a really good build up to this year's one with a lot more contests. So I went into it quite confident.
Talk to me about some of those contests in the build up then, because we did briefly speak about it, but you had some. I remember you were talking to me about some contests you had around Christmas time. Some hard bouts. So talk to me about some of those. Where were they, and who were they with?
So yeah, this last summer I was in some box cups. I won the Ed Bilby and won the Haringey, but towards the end of the last year, 2024, I actually boxed the number one national kid, Bobby Wallace, on his own show, and I boxed another national champion at 86 kilos. Took a little weight jump up against I think ISO or something from London. So obviously I didn't get a win on both of them, but in terms of valuable experience, I guess you can't get much better. You know, going to London, out your comfort zone, and boxing some of their best lads. Especially as like going down there with only you and your coach. You can't get much better experience like out your comfort zone.
It seems like you've not really got. I'm sure that there are elements of nerves, but it seems like you're very like fearless when it comes to traveling for bouts and finding out the next contest. I'm thinking specifically here of a video I saw of you online when you travelled to London. I think your dad gave you a lift, and you went down and you worked with your dad the night before on Oxford Street. When I watched that, I thought, bloody hell, like you've got a bout the next day, but you're working the night before. You don't seem that phased. Like, how do you manage to stay so calm, cool, and collected?
I think my reason why I box coming back to that really, because I don't always do it for sort of I do it for my own sort of happiness and well, not happiness, but you know what I mean. I do it because it makes me feel like sort of proud. I'm representing the service, the Air Force, and I'm sort of on a good wave really. Like stuck into be fitness, and I've got a goal, so I sort of try and come back to that. I don't view it as right, I'm gonna go and have a fight with someone and this and that. I try and just look at it like, yeah, it's a positive thing. Like especially with the youngsters and that. I've never win, lose, draw. I've never came out of the amateur boxing contest with sort of a sour taste in my mouth, so to speak. Like it's always been you feel like you sort of feel a little bit taller. You got that chip on your shoulder after amateur bouts and that. So I try and view it as I'm gonna have a good feeling after it. Let's get on with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because I mean, boxers everybody wants to win. Everybody believes in themselves. Otherwise, you wouldn't be stepping in through those ropes. So when you've had that first loss, how did you sort of maneuver through that? How did you cope with that? Because mentally, everybody prepares to win, don't they? But not everybody prepares to lose. So how do you navigate that? How would a young boxer navigate their first loss?
Well, yeah, I mean, to use myself as an example, so I won my first contest, and I got really cocky. And on my second contest, I boxed the exact same lad about 6 weeks later. He's went on to do quite well. But anyway, I boxed the same lad and he beat me. Because I went in like, all right, I've already beat him. I'm just going to do this, do that. And I went in with so the first bout was really nervous. I was trying to box and stuff. And the second bout was like, oh, I've already beat him. I'll try and just throw big shots. And it literally I wouldn't say got my ass handed to me, but it sort of got humbled, you know what I mean? So I quickly learned, I don't know, emotions are quite big. Like you've got to get a grip on them and just focus on boxing really, rather than I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, because I guess as people who box will learn, you don't know what's going to happen, so you just got to stay as calm as you can really.
Yeah, and crack on. Yeah, I think that's an important lesson. I think more boxers should really kind of try and get their emotions in check. I'm guilty of, I've been training for a while. I'm still coming up to my first season as amateur, and really that is one of the key things I've got to work on is not losing my rag and not like going in there with too heightened emotions and then reacting on emotions rather than what's in front of me. I think it's for some it's quite tricky to do. So when you see people like yourself who do it so well, it's it's intriguing, and I think something to strive for a lot of boxers. So yeah, where you displayed that, I think the best is like at the NACs, and I wanted to touch on the 2 bouts that you had there. So first and foremost, you came up against Dylan Burston, big strong lad, very big lad. But in that bout, it's really interesting because, like I say, you were very calm, collected, but you were still on him constantly. I mean, I spoke with him after, and that was one of the things he sort of gave you high praise for, which is just your relentlessness. You just wouldn't leave him alone. You were on him, constantly working him. How did you find that bout when you were in there? Did you was that the game plan going in?
I didn't know him too much, so I went in to try and box, and like I noticed he had a bit of power, but I noticed his work rate maybe wasn't as high as mine. So after the first round, it sort of adapted. My coach sort of said, get if you're a boxer, you'll know what with the phases, like second phase, third phase. So I just started upping my work rate, and it seemed to work. But I just had to be a bit cautious because I guess any bouts at 80 kilo, you just gotta you can feel them going past the whiskers, so you just gotta be careful with your hands eye and stuff. But so yeah, you warm into it, yeah.
I think this is the thing, isn't it? Especially like you said with the weight, it's a punch at that weight can change an entire bout, can't it? Really, one flush punch can change an entire bout. Have you ever had to adapt from like a massive punch in a bout that you just haven't seen coming, like a big overhand right or something like that?
Yeah, I have. Probably at the Haringey, the Irish kid. Yeah, we were a decent one. I wouldn't say that was what I've done, but I sort of tried to keep a straight face. Luckily, it was at the end of the round, so he didn't notice. Because I managed to keep my guard up and a straight face. But I think yeah, I won't know fully until I get one where if you get dropped on that. But I think the main thing, even with body shots and that, is trying to display that try and show that you're not hurt.
Yeah, everybody's got their own way of dealing with it, and they moving off, trying to get some air. I don't know. Some people get a bit more cocky, as if to say "you've not hurt me" type of thing. But yeah, that bout with Dylan, something I picked up on. Like I said, that was actually the first time I seen you box in person. Seen you box online before, but one of the things you do, which I love to see, was that kind of like chopping right hand that you do. You kind of move in with it. I don't know if that's something you've drilled over the years or something that's come as part of your style developed from TS. Talk me through that, if you know what I'm on about.
I sort of know what you mean. I think so. Terry Spencer, me boxing coach at home, civilian boxing coach. He has his fighters thrown a lot like that, and I think I've picked up a bit from him. The style of like he quite likes was he quite likes his fighters chopping down on the shots and turning the straight right hand maybe into more of a chopping one. So I guess I picked up that because obviously with the straight right it is good point scoring that, but I guess with the chopping one you're more protected from counters because your body position, and so you might get a bit more pop on it. Like,
I mean, it was very effective from what I saw, and great shot, and almost like it's just unavoidable. It was really good to see. But just speaking on style for a second here, if you've already developed a style, your civilian gym, how then does that work if you go in, you've gone into the RAF? Do you have to kind of forget everything and they build you back up, or are they respectful of the style that you already have and kind of work with that? How does that work?
yeah, I mean, boxing for the RAF because you're posted at different stations, you you're guaranteed to work with different coaches. So I've actually picked up a lot from other different coaches, and my boxing style has changed. Like we used to have a boss called Carl Wally. His style was quite a high hands, sort of high work rate style. So when I boxed with him, I did box slightly different. But um, the coach I'm at now is a bit more to the mentality of um, I'm not gonna with his boxes, because it's like I don't know, with open class boxes, he says to us, I'm not gonna change your style. You've had X amount of bouts or whatever. I'm just gonna like bring out what you do well. And I think with myself it was more quite a loose, relaxed style, which worked better for me. So yeah, to answer the question, you sort of pick bits up off everyone and yeah, try and make it your own really.
Yeah, kind of merge styles and be adaptable at all times. It sounds like that's interesting. Moving on to that second bout in the NACs, we kind of talked about it, but Bobby Wallace, we were talking about how perhaps if you'd have had him a little bit later in the competition, things might have been slightly different. How did you see that bout going? I mean, was it a frustrating one for you at the time?
So we weren't like I knew like different to Dylan. I didn't know anything about Dylan there, but with Bobby, I boxed him 3-4 months prior, so I knew what I was in for. You know what I mean? I knew the style. I knew he was quite rangy and stuff. So yeah, no, I was frustrated because I felt I had good moments in the contest, like, but um, yeah, I just think he was a better man on the day. Really, he might have held his nerve a little bit better. Um, Referee maybe didn't suit my style as much because he was telling me, well, he took points off. Some refs don't like inside work as much as others, but to be honest, if you look at what he went on to do, I can't complain really, because yeah, I think he stopped like 4 of the 7 opponents he was in the competition, something like that. So yeah, respect to him. He's better man on the day.
Yeah, great boxing. Like I said, saw him then go on and then win at the Three Nations against a great opponent in Cole Harris for Wales. Very, very intense bout. That was heavy hands. One I feel that you would have enjoyed actually yourself.
Yeah,
But
I did set the. I was watching in the background, which like it looked very exciting. Yeah.
what is next following the NACs? Is your attention now to the next season and getting in some more bouts, or when do you feel the time is right to kind of look at turning over, going pro, if that's a dream of yours?
Well, just with balancing my career in the Royal Air Force, I've had to focus on my work currently, so I don't think I'll be back on the amateur circuit till January January next year. But yeah, it'll just be a build up really for the next NAC. So I'm looking to get as many contests as I can between January and sort of July next year, really. With all the box cups and stuff. So yeah, I want to have a really busy season and fingers crossed win the nationals. In terms of the pro side of things, I guess I've got a mate, Brad Axe, within the service. He sort of set the blueprint for people turning over within the military. So I'm not going to rush things. I'm still young enough to, enjoy my career and stuff like that. But yeah, it's good to, it's exciting actually, and to have these dreams while serving in the military.
With and we won't get into specifics here, but for part of your job, you do travel a fair bit. How does training work when you're on the road and say it is coming up to the next season? I know we've got a bit of time off at the minute, but do you have to arrange? Can you arrange sparring on the road? Is that difficult?
It can be, but I think what we do well in the Air Force is it's sort of like work hard, play hard. Like we like the likes of to use it as an example. Like I'll work a lot during this off season, if you like, sort of July to towards Christmas. I work a lot more, and then they'll give me sort of training camps before the NECs, like 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks. So I'll sort of lock in there and really hit the training hard. So I guess it's peaking for competitions really, and obviously by trade I do traffic control, so I can't afford to not be focused in the role and stuff like that.
Where's the play hard in that, mate? Because it sounds like work hard. That does. You work hard at your job and you work hard at boxing.
Well, yeah, I mean it's my bit of enjoyment, I guess, in it. Like with play hard, as in you get that bit of time off work and you're working towards the goal. You can't be sitting there being fit and focused. But I guess the play hard, you could say. I went on a couple of holidays with me missus and through the summer and stuff. But yeah, I mean, yeah,
But still
yeah.
straight back to it. I like that. That's funny. Just touching on sparring, you have sparred some big names in the space. Darren Till being one of them, Alan Perry another, a couple more pros as well. We were kind of talking off camera about this, about the importance of perhaps chasing that next level in competition, that next level in preparation. Do you think it's important for amateurs to keep chasing the next level of prep? I mean, sparring amateurs is one thing, but then moving up and sparring a pro, different game, as you can, as I'm sure you know. I mean, what was that experience like for you in the first instance? Let's touch on that.
Yeah, like sort of you'd maybe dream of, It was it's quite exciting. Oh, I'm going to spar X, Y, and Z. It's exciting, obviously, and luckily, like Terry organised it. But yeah, and I guess to answer the question as well with the amateurs and pros and chasing this and that, I think in a safe environment it is good, but you need that coach to sort of make the bridge really, or like a friend to make that bridge, because obviously you don't want to put yourself in an environment where it's still got to be respectful, if you know what I mean. So for example, Terry has organised spars with obviously that spar with Dan, and then Jack Cullen in the past, and obviously stable mostly on Willens. He's a light heavyweight pro who's really good. So it's not so much with the organising the spar. It's more so me helping them really. But yeah, it's definitely it just sort of gives you the confidence that I'm not that far off that level. Hopefully you can take that from a spar like that, maybe.
Yeah, that you can mix it with the quote unquote big boys. You know what I mean? I guess that is interesting to, as even a benchmark. Maybe an amateur goes and finds out, actually I'm not quite there yet. I got completely pieced up, and like that's the thing.
I think it is that, but sorry to interrupt. I think it's because when you're watching these people on telly and that, they're like massive characters to you, and these seem like massive personalities, and you sort of looking up to them, and then I guess it just brings people down to earth. Like when you meet these, meet people you look up to. It's obviously inspiring, yeah.
But did Darren have any words of encouragement for you after that spar?
I mean, to be honest, like it was more Leon, the pro, sparring him. I only got like one round. But yeah, it was just interesting to see him in the flesh really, because he's someone I've looked up to as a fighter. He's a big unit as well. To be fair, he's just, I guess the only really thing to take from it was, he is about his business. Like, just comes, does what he needs to do, and gets on with it. Like, there was no. I guess when you think about, like, I don't know, like celebrity level pros, you think they're gonna be, I don't know what you think really, but they're just normal lads really.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, because you see them on TV, you think they're superheroes, and then I imagine when you see them in the flesh and you're training alongside him, you think, oh, he's just like me, That kind of humanizes them a little bit. Yeah, interesting. Hopefully you can get some more rounds in with some more pros, mate. That'd be good, and then get you back on the podcast and talk about that. But yeah,
I think with with sparring with the pros, and I think when you start stepping up to the NACs and the elites, it is good to seek out the higher level spars and stuff, because you get to a level where sometimes in your region there isn't a lot of amateurs, so it definitely helps.
Yeah, widens the pool of available partners to train with. Yeah, I can see that. I wanted to ask you about a couple of things which make up a good, strong, solid amateur. Those being diet and getting that right, because a lot of people I know, firsthand, a lot of people struggle with that side of things. I think there's an element of overcomplicating it at times as well. And then also strength and conditioning. Now, that's a hot topic at the minute. We got the likes of Dave Allen, being questioned on, does his stable of fighters, do any strength and conditioning? He was saying, no, they just focus on boxing, running, that type of thing. We'll start with strength and conditioning. I know you do that style of training. How important has that been to your development as a boxer?
I think massively important, but at the start it wasn't. I think it's important to prioritize your boxing until you start competing and stuff, and then obviously you can add the strength conditioning on top of. Obviously, the boxing's got to be priority. For example, in the off season, I'll do more of my strength conditioning because you're working on areas you may not so be strong in the off season. And then when I see it to sort of fight dates and competitions and stuff, then it'll completely flip. Like, you might do 1, 2, maybe 3 max sessions of strength conditioning when you're prepping for a amateur bout or in between competitions. But yeah, I think it's just being aware of how you want to peak for your competitions and stuff, and being aware of off season and stuff like that. I think it's just, as you start competing, you look left and you look right at maybe some of your older fighters in your gym and that, and you see how they operate and take little bits really.
Strength and conditioning is something that a lot of people, I suppose, struggle with. Do you focus on more kind of explosive work, would you say?
I think just the foundational sort of strength. Obviously, you're going to get an element of plyometrics through your boxing and maybe your boxing types of circuits within the gym. To be honest, mine's more weight driven and obviously depending on body weight circuits and stuff like that. I should probably look into more plyometrics, but currently, it's just genetic strength training really. I have got a PTI, which is a physical training instructor within the Royal Air Force, who does give me programs in season, George Westwell. He's good because he's been there, done it. He's competed as an elite amateur, and he's got 10 years of knowledge of sort of programming, strength conditioning. So I think his sort of his mindset with it is, to be honest, I don't run enough as he would like me to, but his mindset is he'll program the strength conditioning off season, quite high sort of reps and weight. Then when we get in the season, the sets will come down, and the way he programs the sessions, you won't get too sore. For example, he'll do like a bench press and a squat, let's say, and you're not using your muscles enough with 3 sets on each to get that muscle soreness, but you're still getting the strength element. And then he'll also put like a conditioner at the end, like, I don't know, like AMRAP burpees or this, that, and the other. So you're basically doing enough of it to stimulate, your foundational strength without affecting, because after a session like that, you can still jump on a boxing session in the evening of that, the same day as doing that, or the next day. You're not gonna get sore the way, I don't know, maybe a bodybuilder might program, like they want to exhaust a muscle group and do, I don't know, if they're doing a leg day, they might do 6 to 8 sets on, well, 6 to 8 exercises on one muscle group to exhaust the muscle. And I don't know whether you've done a workout like that, but you're not going to be able to box or run or do your footwork the day after doing a leg session like that. So yeah, it's a topic I'm interested in 100%.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely done that before. I mean, I've done it this week. Unfortunately, I stupidly trained and did, steered more towards a bodybuilding type of thing, and then thought I could do sprints the next day, and yeah, it wasn't happening. So yeah, I know how that goes. In terms of diet, because you're in terrific shape, as any boxer, should strive to be really. What has your diet been like over the years? Have you had to change anything? Do you stick to a carnivore diet? What type of things are you eating to get in that type of shape?
I'm not going to sit here and say my diet's great because it's not off season. But when I'm in season, I think with a fight date, comes where I'll get really disciplined, and I think I should probably count calories and stuff, but I don't. But basically, it'll be um, obviously water's massive for me, and water and electrolytes probably first and foremost. You need a high intake of that when you're doing a lot of training. Obviously on top of that, protein's a big one. So eggs in the mornings, sort of a given with me. And then obviously every meal, you probably pick a protein source, chicken, steak, fish, all that, and then pair that with some carbs. Can't really go wrong really. Rice, potatoes, sweet potatoes, all that. And yeah, if you program 3 of those meals and then your breakfast will obviously with your eggs and maybe your porridges or your cereals. But I think if it was to talk about, oh yeah, sorry, with supplements as well, I think that's definitely an area in the past year of took more of an interest in. Obviously, um, with your protein powders, your multivits, your creatines, stuff like that. They might not think you might think, oh, there's such a small percentage, but they just cover, like, obviously with us Westerners and stuff, I guess our diets sometimes don't fulfill all what you need really. So it just ticks all the boxes. And I think the main thing for me that I've learned with training, boxing and nutrition, I think, is programming what you're gonna eat before and after your sessions. For example, we've all done it an hour before training, ate too much or too much starchy food, and it just doesn't sit right in your stomach. Whether that's oats an hour before, because obviously oats are quite slow digesting, and I don't know, even say anything fibery really, and stuff like that. An hour before is a no. Whereas if you add such sugary, yeah, I mean, a pack of jellies, a piece of fruit, an hour before, you'd be absolutely fine. So yeah, that's the main thing really, like just knowing what you can get away with and what works for your body, and then obviously after training is you're just eating a square meal really. So yeah,
What's the one bit of shit food that you are looking forward to eating after a competition?
it'd be a Chinese and sweet tooth stuff like say chocolate. And, I don't know, I like chocolate with nuts, like Brazil nuts, like Reese's, stuff like that.
Yeah, it's all. I always like to ask that question because everybody's a bit different. Some people, surprise me and they just want a clean meal. They want to stick to the chicken and rice. But I'm like, no, give me the full pizza. I'll have that every single day.
No, I'll be going straight to as an award, especially if you don't not a drinker with boxing, like that's your vice. Like you ask anyone that boxes and that you love your junk food like after a fight.
Brilliant, mate. Well, I mean, we've covered so much already, but I suppose there's more to come in the Cam Lewis story. We've talked about what's next. If there was one, I want to leave it on this really. If there was one thing that you would tell young Cam as he stepped into that gym with ambitions of getting into boxing, what would it be now with all the experience you've had and the long road you've travelled? What would you tell him?
Obviously, we didn't touch on too much, but it took quite a long break from the sport, and just through wanting to try different things in life. So I think it'd be something along the lines of, you know, if you have a sport, a goal, a dream, sort of keep it close and I don't sacrifice it for anything. Obviously, you got kids going out, drinking, experimenting, doing this, doing that. It's not as good as you think. You know, like when you're 16, you start going to festivals and all that. I think, I guess, yeah. Don't be scared to be a bit of a what's the word, sort of outlier within people. You know, go and take your own path really, because they're the ones that'll be applauding you or looking up to you really when you're if you follow your dreams. No one can really take that from you, and it's quite special.
Brilliant. Well, Cam Lewis, thank you so much for taking the time. Thanks for joining me, and yeah, look forward to seeing what's next.
Yeah, nice one, Luke. Appreciate it. Thanks for that, mate.
Thanks for tuning in to War or Nothing, the #1 podcast for amateur and professional boxing across the UK and beyond.